Hi everyone. Um, we're now going to talk about the next part, which is the third part of your exam. This is where you have to talk about the set. Now, I've given you some details here on the screen that you need to know. You need to be able to say who the playwright was and who was presenting it and where you saw it, as well as the date. So that you need to make a note of those details. So it was called The Events. It was written by a man called David Grieg. It was presented by the Silo Theatre, but we saw it at the Cuse Theatre on the 7th of September. Now, the first thing it wants you to do is to describe in detail the set in the performance. Now, the set was very much static. It didn't change much. We'll have a look at the picture here. So if I had to describe the set in detail, I would be talking about a very bare floor. I would be referring to the fact that there's no wings. You can see into the wings. It's very exposed. But although things are exposed, there's also kind of sense of mystery and things being hidden on the sides of the stage because of the way it's been lit. Of course, what dominates are the red seats. There are 4 rows of red seats, and so there was tier seating. I would describe the seats that have been kind of left abandoned on the side stage. The piano downstage right. Also the trestle table at the back with the tea urn and cups. And also I would refer to, if you look above, you'll notice that there's sort of bare lighting and the use of the gangways at the top are kind of quite easy to see. So the set is very exposed, it's very simple, it's very static, it doesn't change much. At this point, just describe in detail what you see. It's a proscenium arch, so the audience is only sitting in the front. It's called proscenium arch. When you see that initially you notice the piano is kind of right in the center stage facing. It actually moves later on in the performance and they move it slightly upstage. So that would be the first part of what you have to do. Then the second part is where you have to do a annotated drawing. So they ask you to do it at your description and annotate it. So that's where I'd be drawing it out exactly, possibly showing different levels where you can with the seating, and annotating by sort of just having little lines and being quite clear about exactly what you see. Remember that if you're wanting to do well, you really have to give very specific details and specific examples. It's really important. Okay, so the second thing that you have to do is you have to talk about how the specific elements of the set you have described were used to reflect and communicate the time and place of the play. So I think what's really important is that the first thing, we're talking about time and place of the play. This is very much a kind of generic setting. It could take place in any country. It's very contemporary because of the issue, and of course this is also reflected in the way that the priest is dressed. It's a woman, so it's modern, but there's nothing that really defines it as any place. And it is, of course, it's at a church hall, and that's kind of been quite clear with the sense of the piano and the sense of the trestle. I think that it's very much something that's a space that we have a sense of expectation of somebody coming into that space. We don't know who, where, or when. So it's almost a sense of surprise about it, because these people, we have a sense of people, the chairs, the music, the tea urn and things. There's a sense of people that people are going to come, but we don't know who they are. And then when it is used as a space, it doesn't really matter. It could happen anywhere, and I think that's the thing that you need to be stressing all the time. And also just the sense of it being very bare and exposed, very open for us to see everything. where you can start to get a little bit more creative is here, when we start to talk about how the set helped the audience focus on an idea. And there's a lot how it created tension, or how it added meaning or impact. So I think the thing that you need to be talking then is a lot more in detail, where the things I might be talking about is how the set being so exposed has a sense of them being vulnerable. There's no protection, which relates to this idea of what occurred. Also, how, because it's so exposed, it also relates to Claire's mind. It's sort of this revealing of Claire's mind and the unfolding of the events that go on in her head. I think you could also refer to things like the idea of those side chairs reflecting possibly the people who have gone, that have just been left, the ones that are no longer there. Maybe the idea of the tea urn and the things of people coming together, and that relating then to the idea of the cup being so key all the way through, which we talked about a little. Let me just give me a moment. I think you can also talk about how it created the tension, this feeling of what's going to happen, how it also was so interesting the way that idea of the choir sort of sitting on that set, having this sense of it being observing, being the jury. There's very much a sense of that set being completely unplanned. There's really not much there. It's as though all the action that occurs there just is improvised. It just happens. It's a space that's not, there's no sense of predictability about it. And I think that's a key idea of what happened to these people, is this kind of vulnerability, this unpredictability, this suspense. You could talk about how they have this kind of key light in the center, the focus on that, and those people, and them being kind of very vulnerable and exposed right in the center. You could talk about the use of the piano being there, the kind of that's almost like the narrative that follows through. Maybe the piano almost being representative of the people's thoughts, but also feelings, but also a kind of the humanness in people. Anyway, what I think you really need to do is to focus very much on this part of the question in order to go for your excellences. And it's really important to try and kind of connect all the ideas of the performance to the set. So it's really important you look here how the set was linked to other aspects of the performance as a whole. Anyway, good luck, girls, and I hope you have a very good exam and that you're very successful. And I shall see you after the exams.